Well, I had a friend who looked to buy the 95 acres up there. And they were for sale, so he was looking around and finally decided where she should build a house. She should do it. So I did wander around. Yeah, it's beautiful. And nobody knows it's there, I would do it.
For some reason, I'm not sold one house. It shows a picture of we have property and we through our barn into the woods and people come and go
All the time. We get that one.
Anything.
We'll have to get together as well.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Move to call the town board meeting of Jan 8, 2026 to order. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You guys want to do the land acknowledgement?
The town of New Paltz humbly acknowledges that we are on the traditional lands of the Munsee, Esopus, and Lenape people. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 forced the people to relocate to inhospitable territory far from the bountiful valley and mountains we inhabit today. The town further acknowledges that much of the physical structure of our town and village was built by enslaved Africans who labored as the property of their owners until 1827 on this very land.
We acknowledge the contributions, resilience, and accomplishments of the BIPOC community who have overcome historical injustice to inform our past and inspire our future. Please visit the Resource Library on our website to learn more. We encourage the residents and visitors to learn more about the contributions and sacrifices made by Indigenous people and enslaved Africans by visiting these sites.
I'm going to make a couple of changes to the agenda, but I'm going to start by moving to approve the consent agenda. Someone want to second my motion?
So moved.
All in
I just
favor?
want to make sure the only thing on the consent agenda is approving the previous minutes.
Correct.
Okay.
All in favor of moving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So for the business agenda, we're adding a couple of things since this agenda was published yesterday. Discussion about attending the new elected officials training with AOT up in Albany next week regarding who's going and reimbursements for the conference registration as well as hotel rooms. And also we need another thing that was added since yesterday. No, I think that is it. Yeah, that's the only thing that's in addition. So I'd like to move the business agenda as amended.
So
All in favor?
Aye.
And then let's go to announcements. I have a couple of announcements to share. The Office of Community Wellness is having Together at the Table free community meals from 6 to 7:30 on January 20th and 27th at the New Connections United Methodist Church. That's at the corner of Grove and Main. Announcement number 2, we currently have the following board committee openings for volunteers: Planning Board, Environmental Conservation Board, Historic Preservation Commission. If anyone in the community is interested, please send your letter of interest and resume to assistant@townofnewpaltzny.gov. And announcement number 3, the 2026 town and county property bills have been mailed out. This is just a reminder that if you haven't received it, please contact the tax collector at 845-255-0100. And anyone interested in making a public comment? I think a couple of people may have signed in, but if
Oh.
anyone else?
I have an announcement.
Okay.
Should I make it now?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
Shot at locations throughout the Hudson Valley. The film The Nature of Nature was directed by New Paltz resident and Emmy Award-winning Laura Dene in partnership with DEC biologist Laura Heady, and there will be a showing at 1:30 at the Gardner Library. And if you want your spirit to be uplifted, be there Saturday, 1:30 at the Gardner Library.
Thanks, Kitty. Anyone else from the board? I'm sorry, I didn't ask
That's okay.
the board if anyone else had announcements to share. Next time, come with your announcements. Okay, public input. Anyone from the community? I know this gentleman signed up. Do you want to come?
Concern.
Come on up to the table. Just state your name and,
My name's Mr. Palmieri. I live on South Alva Road. And it's the residential part of the street. My neighbor has a junkyard. And I've been here before about this. Lyle's been doing whatever he can, but it's not going along fast enough. Obviously, the weather that we have, you know, he can't. The neighbor can't get anything out of there, and there's even, I can even leave that with you if you want.
thank you.
There's even cars on there that you can't see, but you could, if you look on the Ulster County tax map, you could see that. And, there's a pond right nearby, down the hill. That's a picture of the water sometimes. And my, the tenant of mine that used to live in one of my rentals had my water tested. Styrene is found in motor oil. And they give you a tolerance of like 0.1, it's at 0.2. And I'm sure if I got a sample from the pond, it would be worse. You can keep all of that. I have more.
Thank you. Is this information you've also shared with Lyle Nolan from the building department?
Yeah, I've
Okay,
made
great.
multiple complaints. He
Great.
has pictures, the folder's probably the biggest one in the files there.
And is your,
So, but you can see that and read through it with the
sir, is your current contact information on there?
wife.
Or can you, if I give you?
Yeah.
Is it on there?
It's in one of those.
Okay, as long as it's the current. info.
Email address is there too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Tom?
Hi, my name's Tom Jelliff. I'm a village resident. Welcome to all almost. And there's actually two more names here.
Okay.
All right. Can you introduce yourself at some point, please, since you don't have signs yet? And the count is off. It should be on 5. So I'm just curious. We're curious why there's 7. When would there be an expectation that you would have speakers? Mics,
Amplified, like
Amplified.
the microphones.
is there, you don't necessarily have to answer that, and actually my substantive question is, what materials were provided to the new members or shared amongst you on meaning and obligations, coming from the public meetings law? No,
Yeah, nothing specifically, but, yeah, I think
Seems
several
kind
of us are familiar with public meetings law and open
seems
meetings.
kind of important, but there are always issues about it, and it's hard to put your finger on where to go for authoritative information.
Well, the new members are going to be going to training next week, actually, as was just talked about, that's presented by the Association of Towns. And during that, new members, whether they're town board members or planning board or other types of boards, that type of training is available, and there's discussions about open meetings laws, things of that nature, and those things that aren't discussed there, when the board has questions about them, that's what I'm for, to try and help everybody make sure there's compliance with all of the requirements of public meetings and other things.
And you are, sir?
My name is William Frank.
Okay.
Shortly, when we get through the comments, I'll be introduced at that time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Did I answer the question about amplification?
Sure.
Okay, Chris Marks did a lot of research trying to find a system that would work in this room. And the estimates were in excess of $40,000, I believe. And the problem is that this room was designed for privacy for people addressing the court. So it is a problem that we recognize, but we don't yet know of a solution. Do you have anything to add, Chris?
If you don't mind, so.
Chris, come on up so we can grab your voice. I mean, part of the challenge, I think, is it's really important to be close to the speaker.
So I engaged a firm in Wappingers that does this specifically. Their first quote was $60,000, which was, I told them to give me the full boat, everything included. And then let's see what it looks like, present it to the board, and then we would gear it down from there. First boat was everything from audio visual, so that screen would be that wall. Individual microphones, everything wireless. A certain type of camera system because the courts can't be cameraed at the time, so it would just be for town hall. 60,000 scared the board members, so I went back to them. Let's dumb it down a little bit. I just need microphones, a pedestal mic here, audio visual. We were planning on getting rid of the owl, having it permanently mounted in the building. So basically you came in, you plugged your laptop into a socket on one of these two walls and you were live. That estimate came in at $40,000. The gentleman's called me since then and I said, well, we're transitioning between new board members. I would speak to someone, when it comes out, which sounds like it's coming out. And he's more than willing to bring his firm in to give a presentation if you wanted to do that, or, again, this was my vision of what I thought was needed in the room. You all can decide what you think would be better or possible or something. We all agree that we needed some kind of audio visual speaker system. And maybe he can give some more options.
Okay.
That's
Anyone
right
else?
up there.
Perfect. Anyone else want to make a public comment?
My name is Sharon Roth. I was born in this community 1,054 months ago. And you may know my home where I was brought up, which is now the bicycle rack. And the bakery was my daddy's garage. My sister and I had a clubhouse in there for all the neighborhood children. And there were a lot at that time. I just wanted to say congratulations to you, Tim. I'm very, very happy that you are the supervisor of this community, and I wanted to give you a congratulations gift. It is not alcoholic.
Thank you, Sharon. Anyone else, public comment?
I'm just writing it out, and I didn't know who to send it to, and I don't have a printer, so I'll have to get you the text, deliver it to you tomorrow.
Okay, just state your name.
My name is Barbara Stemke. I live in New Paltz, and nobody here probably knows that the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, and the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. have promulgated legislation that would fast track the deployment of cell towers all across America. And local communities would have no say in where the cell towers are sited in their communities. Scenic areas, playgrounds, houses of worship, your front yard, they could be anywhere. And in the legislation proposed, it will be fast-tracked, and every conceivable variation of what a cell tower, what's permissible, and what a community might want to say regarding the siting of a cell tower. Every possible variable is considered in this legislation where the communities will not have a say. it's very serious. This has been called the greatest climatic challenge of all with all the other ones. The ones that, this is the one that most of my friends don't want to look at because it's not easy, because electromagnetic radiation from cell towers is invisible. You don't see it, so what's the problem? And we live with it, right? But it's very serious.
Thank you, and make sure you get those notes to us.
Yeah.
You have, the clerk's email address, just,
I did, yeah, which
Would you
group
need
is
it?
it? I was confused with village and town and,
so you could just send it actually to my assistant, so it's just assistant@townofnewpaltz.ny.gov.
okay, thank you. If you don't mind, I have to go. There's a January 15th deadline for the town and anybody to reply, to comment on the FCC website. Time is of the essence if the town wishes to act on this. And also, on Christmas Eve, I sent the town and village an email outlining all of this. And William Murray from the village was the only one who responded to say there would be no board meeting on Christmas Eve. I didn't know, I had to ask, but no one from the town or village responded to me. And now, all right, so January 15th is the deadline, if anyone wants to respond. And I'm wondering if any of the Ulster active people are here, action people. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Any other public comments? It's not a meeting unless Joe makes the minute. All right. Yvonne and Joe. Also,
Okay, we are,
say both your names.
Yvonne Posey,
Joe Londa.
and we are both from the Climate Smart Communities Task Force for New Paltz, town and village. So about a year and a half ago, the Climate Smart Communities Task Force began a year-long project collecting data from the town and village to create a greenhouse gas inventory. And this involved going through hundreds of documents and individual bills and files and energy records and tabulating the usage and greenhouse gas emissions with the goal of reducing greenhouse gases. The town pledged through a resolution to adopt, town and village, a comprehensive green purchasing program. And during the presentation of the greenhouse gas inventory, we were told that the village had bought propane that we didn't know about. It was not in any of the records.
Oh, for the pole barn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the town had purchased a diesel vehicle, which there was no record that they had investigated other options or anything. They just went out and purchased this vehicle. And that was it. And so we want to protest that because that is counter to everything that we're trying to do here. And if our town and village are not going to be serious about our efforts to move to a green economy in this environment, then let's stop doing this. And so what we want to do is propose a procurement policy that will allow the town and village to at least consider a green alternative before they purchase something that uses fossil fuel. And so Joe is here to go over the details.
So what diesel vehicle was bought?
I think it was
It was for the recycling center.
Was it like a excavator? Was it
No, it was a pickup truck.
pickup truck.
just standard, like,
Yeah,
Well, it was more than
F-150.
just standard, it was also a dump and it had a lifting crane on it as well, I believe.
Right, we have a diesel truck on tonight's agenda too.
Much different, yeah.
okay. It was what?
650 grade hook lift truck.
Okay, thank
so
you.
we're not talking about where vehicles or other items are not available, but if they're available, at least we need to consider the alternative and at least give a reason for not considering it.
You may have received this via email from me. In which case, my apologies that it's redundant, but just in case you have not, here is the language. So this is a proposed proposed addition to the procurement policies. And it would basically go at the start of the second page where the subject of documentation begins. The most important thing, I won't read this to you. The most important thing to know is that this language does not prevent the village or the town from acting on purchasing whatever you need to purchase, whether that's a fossil fuel vehicle or a fossil fuel appliances, heating, cooking, or hot water production. It doesn't stop you from doing that. What it does require you to do, it requires the department head to do, which is just document what are the functional requirements of the vehicle or the appliance, and how would an alternative fuel, usually electric, satisfy those requirements. It may satisfy them perfectly, or it may be less or more. And also there could be a green premium as well, sometimes when you buy an alternative vehicle. So that's important to know as well. So this language for the procurement policy is simply requiring that documentation take place. So the board has understanding of what the options are, and that you can't make the decision to proceed with the purchase without that documentation in place. It does specify that when we say best value, which is the language that's used, best value should include the consequences of adding to our greenhouse gas emissions as well. That's obviously not a numerical thing, but when you look at the green premium, which is perhaps a higher price of the purchasing of whatever you're going to purchase, that would be an example of, oh yes, but there's also, we're saving something relative to adding to greenhouse gas emissions. So that's it, and we hope we'll all stick around in case you have questions when you get to the policy, but to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you. Anyone else interested in making public comment? Okay, so before we jump into the business portion of tonight's agenda, before we start with the reorg, I figured I would go ahead and provide the introductions. We can each state our name and title. I'll start. Town of New Paltz Supervisor Tim Rogers.
Kate Ryan, town board member.
Sean O'Sullivan, town board member.
Lauren McPadden, town board member.
Well, for William, he is mentioned in the reorg agenda because I intend to appoint William Sharnock as the deputy supervisor for the town of New Paltz.
Kitty Brown, council member.
And I intend to, or our board, within our reorg, we have Will Frank to perform the duties as the general counsel for the town of New Paltz, and that's why he's joining us here tonight. Okay, so then let's jump into the.
Do we want to add to the agenda the authorization for you to contact Congressman Ryan to see if the town would like to protest the new FCC rule that Barbara sent me? Just because I don't think we're going to get a chance before our next board meeting. So if you, I did some research on it because she called me. It's in committee. It hasn't gotten that far, but I would like to move that we authorize you to reach out to Congressman Ryan, and if you think it's appropriate, send a letter on behalf of the town opposing that bill.
Yeah, that sounds fine, but I'm gonna use the language that you just suggested as a motion that I'm seconding. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so then let's jump into this business agenda. So the first item is the authorization to approve the 2026 New Paltz Rescue Squad contract. Someone want to second my motion?
Second.
For discussion?
I would just like to move the date of their submission for the budget from September 15th to August 15th, which is when we generally start looking at our budget. It'll just give you and the staff a little more time. So that would be my only change to the
Okay,
contract.
I accept your friendly amendment. Sounds good. Any other discussion? No? All in favor of moving the contract?
Aye.
Aye.
The next item is, Chris, do you want to join us and we can talk about the truck that you're proposing that we go out to bid for?
So, Highway is requesting to go out to bid for a new heavy plow truck. One of our 2011s suffered a catastrophic engine failure, the last storm. We're already have $50,000 into the engine. We'll have to put another $50,000 into it to make it totally operational. We, to be perfectly honest, we have it running now. Parts we put in it are probably good for another month or two before they get ruined. These are trucks, unfortunately, the town bought 3 of them in 2011 when International tried to do something different with their engine. And it didn't work. It lasted for a year. Most places scrapped their trucks. Some went out to warranty. Unfortunately, all the warranty work did not involve government. We were stuck with them. I have 2, which I have my 110-wheeler, well over $100,000 in repairs. This one we're coming at. We replace our trucks, heavy trucks, every 20 years. This one's not gonna make it. We'll wind up putting another 50,000 into it by then. And the cost of the truck was under 200,000, so we'll have over half the cost on a 20-year-old truck just in engine repairs. One of the local dealers had bought quite a few chassis and pre-built a bunch of trucks. They are not in any contracts with OGS or any other buying contracts. We would have to go out to bid for it. Checked with the comptroller. In the highway fund balance, we have a little over $500,000 that could be spent on a truck. We're estimating the cost around $315,000, although it is a big cost, has to go out. So we would have to we'd have to look at the bids. So I'm asking permission to, 1, go out to a bid to see what we can get, and 2, using the fund balance that's left in highway to pay for the truck when it comes in.
And speaking with the town comptroller, to clarify, this is DB highway fund balance, correct?
Right, this is a fund balance that I don't have. It's earmarked for highway department, but it has to be released by the board.
Okay. And then also this engine type, this is the, the clean as clean can be for a diesel engine. This is like California emission standard.
So the last seminar I went on the diesel engines, the new diesels, I can take 50 diesel trucks, put it in our highway garage, start them up. They put out less emissions than one of the diesel trucks I drove in the 80s. Things have been rather clean burning. They've really dialed this stuff in. Also in 2027, the emission standard change again. We're estimating the trucks go up 27% by then. I agree with the clean burning, but they really took a diesel engine and screwed it up.
And I just know from looking at alternatives with the Village Department of Public Works, there are no even close to comps as far as electric vehicles that could do the type of work that these diesel trucks.
Problem, electric works in some varieties of trucks, but you have to have a designated run. You have to have a pretty much idea of how much time you're gonna run that truck in a day. You don't know when we leave for a snowstorm, that truck's gonna be out for an hour, it could be out for 24 hours. You don't know. We have 9 dedicated plow runs. We have 6 dedicated large trucks, and we augment from mid-size to small trucks, the limit, to help with our cost. But to date, no, there's not another version that would.
But I think to highlight the point that Yvonne and Joe were making, we should always ask ourselves that question every time, even if it's our understanding that, there aren't cleaner options in existence. So,
Municipalities can do a lot with different vehicles, like building inspector vehicles could be electric. Because they run close to the town. We've done it with our police department. They use, electric vehicles or hybrid vehicles. To date, unfortunately, there's some equipment that they're using now, which is electric backhoes, electric skid steers. But it's more quarry work. They run an 8-hour shift, plug in for 8 hours. The charging station for one of our heavy trucks, as they use for the garbage trucks, is over $150,000 just for the charging station, and then the truck. You know, as long as the truck is running at 70 degrees with flat loads, with so much weight, they get through their runs. Put too many variables in and you run short. So they wind up having to have an extra truck.
Okay, I would like to, I would like to move that we, approve using $315,000 of fund balance, towards this truck. Does someone want to second my motion
Yeah.
before discussion?
I'm not sure that that's again, it's a bid. That's my
Okay.
closest estimate.
He's asking for permission to get a bid.
What I would ask is to go for the
That's the
bid and
estimate,
to
yeah.
use the fund balance, come back, but use the fund balance that we have to pay for what the bid comes at. I'm estimating 315, any much over that, we wouldn't. Okay,
Okay, so we'll make sure that that language is correct. Does someone want to just like second my motion before we,
I just have a quick question.
you got to second my motion? and then we-
Second your motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Will we be able to sell the truck? That's horrible. Or
Yes.
is that just good? Yeah. And what do you think?
I'm
we'll get for
estimating
that?
between $20,000 and $30,000.
Okay, all
We've
right.
done pretty well in our auctions. I think somebody would probably do parking lots, doesn't run it a lot.
Okay, all right.
Are you looking to have the board, I'm sorry, were you done?
That was a,
Before, I'll wait till the board has any other questions, sorry. Okay, couple of questions. Do you want to ask the board this evening to surplus the truck you want to replace? Because the board can declare it surplus, then you can start trying to get some money for it.
Until I have a replacement in
You want to
the
keep using it?
garage, I have to use
You're
this
gonna
truck.
keep using it, okay. My other question, couple of just quick questions on you wanna go out to bid. Are you preparing the specs? Do you have them already for what you need?
Yes, I just have to change the language in the specs to mimic the town of New Paltz, and I would like to add to the specs that other townships can piggyback off our bids.
Mm-hmm, that's good. And what's your planned turnaround time to get the bids back in?
I'm gonna ask for
You're
a
gonna
two-week turnaround, 2-week delivery time.
Okay, and you said some of the locals have chassis
Yes.
already
Mhm.
and they can put together. So I assume that the specs are gonna be tailored toward what's out there locally.
Yes, yeah. I'll
Yeah.
take a spec that's a truck that's been built
Yeah.
and see if anyone else has a truck that's built out there that meets those specs.
Right, and as you know, we know that you can target the bids, you can send them to the dealers all around and
Mhm.
see who's got what. Aside from just publishing the request for bids, you can also send out targeted to local dealers and dealers in the tri-state area who might have something
Yeah.
that matches those specs to.
And time is what kills us. I
Yeah.
mean, most highway departments are looking 2-year turnaround for
Right.
trucks.
Right.
At a minimum, if you're lucky, a year. We have an opportunity because there might be a few dealers out there that build trucks on specs that have one sitting in the yard.
Right. So that would be, part of the motion to authorize Chris to have the turnaround times that he wants to get the bids out and return for review, so you can report back to the board.
Okay, so let's include those details in my motion. Call the question, all in favor? Or any
Aye.
further, aye. Okay, next item,
Thank you.
thanks, Chris.
thank you, Chris.
I'm very excited about this because I think this is really the direction of a lot of what the town and village should be doing. So, working with the Director of Planning and Zoning in the town, Lyle Nolan, and the Director of Planning and Zoning in the village, Mike Baden, we formulated an intermunicipal agreement. So this is a way for each, this is really just, a shared service approach to code enforcement and building departments. Like there will be times when, one group may be able to lend a hand, to fill some gaps, but, I think it's completely the direction that we should be going in as far as, working collaboratively across the town and the village. So we have this IMA for our board to consider. This is a shared service IMA for code enforcement and building departments. I'd like to motion that we move this IMA. Someone want to second it for discussion?
Second.
Discussion?
Some questions? What positions are vacant? Because the IMA mentions that there are vacancies that make this kind of an emergency situation.
Fire inspection,
In the
Code
town.
enforcement.
I mean, Lyle does fire inspection.
right, so he can help in the village and vice versa.
But the town does not currently have any vacancies. So what we're proposing is that we, and the village doesn't have a fire inspector?
They do, they have a part-time fire inspector, but there's an individual who is doing the building inspections who will be leaving. So this just provides like a valuable option for the building departments to work together. You know, if the town or the village at any time hires from the list and, you know, has full staff, then you need less of this optionality. But when there are times when, you know, the workflow is more uneven, you know, this is, you know, exactly the type
Are
of
the
thing.
codes the same?
It's New York State Uniform Building.
Building?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, this is not zoning determinations.
so, for example, the gentleman who brought in his complaint to us today, would a village code inspector be able to go out?
Sure, and so for whether it's town or village, a lot of times you might need, you know, to get up to speed on the history of a particular property. So you would have an official, like, you know, look at that property's folder just to get a sense. But, you know, so much of the work that, you know, these code enforcement officials do, or these inspectors do, you know, it often involves, you know, doing, you know, as needed research.
I'm still not understanding. Are we going to have to, well, first of all, did you run this past the union members? I just don't want to see any grievances coming at us if, for example, we have not run this past, because I don't know, I'm sure in the village that you have union employees.
I'm not part of the village.
When you were, are you aware, I don't know if the DPW has unions.
Yeah, but this is not the DPW. This is
But
the
The building
inspectors,
department, I don't know if any of in the town,
Yeah.
there are union members in the building department, and I'd like to run this past.
What do you
them.
think, Will? Is that an important consideration to?
I just don't want
Yeah,
to see a
but-
grievance coming at us.
I'm not sure what type of grievance. No one is asking anybody to do out of title work. Grievances come generally from asking employees to do out of title work and not paying them, or things of that nature. Shared services are common. A lot of times DPW shared services are common, and it's not something that's run past unions, because no one's being asked to do something that's out of their job title. They may be going to a different location, but that's not a contract violation. I'm not following what would be a grievance.
I don't know.
Okay,
but,
I'm not.
I'm just asking you.
Okay,
So
well-
it feels to me like we should at least give the union employees the courtesy of looking at this and saying, are you happy with this?
That's up to the board, but I don't see it as a grievable situation, but that's up to the board.
I'd have to go
I
back.
think to not do anything just because you're afraid of a grievance or a lawsuit
Well,
is
the-
a silly thing. Wait for the grievance. If the grievance happens, we deal with it.
It's not because I'm afraid of the grievance, it's just a courtesy, I think, to our union employees to say, have a look at this. Are you comfortable with this?
So you're not worried about a grievance.
It is a consideration, but more than that, it's just a courtesy to our union employees.
Yeah, I mean, I've sat at many tables, you know, whether it's the county or the state or supervisors or mayors, like, you know, this is considered a best practice is for municipalities to pursue shared services. I've never heard of the idea that you should run the idea by each individual staff. You know, this was an agreement that was vetted by our attorney and the heads of these departments. You know, Lyle provided his feedback, Mike provided his feedback.
I would I'm sorry, please.
I just wanted to ask Kitty, what, what do you think might, surface?
I don't know. I mean, just looking at the pay scale, I'm not sure if this will end up costing us more. I don't know if there is a cost, if each employee is going to have to become, I mean, there is a program called Municode, which combines all building codes, costs anywhere from $14,000 to $70,000. I don't know if our employees are gonna need to review that. You're saying that all building codes are universal throughout the town and the village?
No.
No. So, I guess under what circumstances would we need to ask a village employee to inspect a town situation?
I mean, we've been doing it for years unofficially. The departments will help each other, just like DPW and highway. This is just to
Oh,
memorialize
that works
an agreement.
really smoothly.
No,
I
it
have
doesn't,
argument with
when it's
that.
not legally memorialized. So what we're trying to do is legally memorialize how these things work.
I think you can think of this, if I may, as mutual aid when there's like a fire in, say, Gardner. And it's a large scale fire, sometimes New Paltz will go over. Same thing in a police emergency situation or an ambulance situation. This is a vehicle that's being used when it's needed. It's just because the agreement is approved, doesn't mean something's gonna start happening tomorrow. This is an available tool for both municipalities.
I understand the rationale. I think what, I would like to understand better is why we are assigning a pay scale for when one worker works in the other.
Exactly,
municipality.
so there's not like an imbalanced situation, right? Because the way it works currently is like a town department can help a village department, and there's no agreement on how that, it's like Chris works with village DPW all the time and vice versa. There's no exchange. That's not kosher. If we were to do these things correctly, you actually have to like formalize these arrangements.
I would pass a resolution to formalize the arrangement between the DPW and our highway department in a minute, because we have the model and we know it works. But there isn't an additional, compensation attached to their agreement. So, I guess, if the rest of the board is comfortable with this, then I will probably be the only no, but I am concerned about, adding additional cost through compensation to something that I'm not convinced we need.
Okay. I'm gonna call the question. All in favor? Aye.
Nay.
Okay. Next item is, MCS's tech invoice for New Paltz Police computers. So, Chief, do you want to come join us and?
I'm Matt Sutton. I'm the police chief. I've met some of you, but not all of you. Welcome. Looking forward to working with all of you. So this invoice is from MCS Tech. They're our sole provider for computers and technology stuff at the police department. They do pretty much all of our IT. This specific invoice is for 2 of our in-car computers. All of our marked patrol cars, the officers do probably 90% of their computer work on computers that are in their car. So this invoice is to replace 2 obsolete. They're still working by a thread, but MCS Tech highly recommends that we replace 2 of them.
Okay, and I think there was some issue where MCS had been on state bid and now they're no longer on state bid. Has
They
that
had a
created-
change. Yeah, they had a change in ownership. So there was some confusion and there was, I guess, a short window where they weren't on state bid. And we found out as of yesterday that they were in fact on state bid. And this is cheapest state bid price.
Okay, great.
How much is the invoice?
Like just over 10K?
10,000, I'll give you the exact amount. $10,383.98.
So it's below the purchase threshold for bidding anyway. The threshold for purchasing equipment under, under state laws, 20,000 for purchases, 35,000 for public works projects, so you're okay either way.
I know there was some confusion there. Historically, I think we've been told anything over anything over $1,000? Yeah, that we have to go out for a minimum of 3 quotes, so that's good information.
But they're the sole source on this, for these
Yeah.
particular cars?
They've been our sole source.
So I think the comptroller was just erring on the side of being cautious and just looking for the board to, formally approve the expense. So I move that we go ahead and do that.
If I could just clarify too, this is from the 2025 budget. We had plenty of allocated funds for this, and it was just kind of a hangover from 2025.
Right. So I move that we go ahead and approve the expenditure.
So
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. And then, the next few items relate to, as we mentioned earlier, New York State Association of Towns is doing a training up in Albany. It's Wednesday, Thursday, half a day, Friday. I was a very active member in NICOM, and I've been to some AOT conferences and trainings in the past. I find these, conferences to be very helpful. They're great as far as getting to know the staff from the organizations like AOT, generally the attorneys who, once you have a rapport with them and know, what they have expertise in, they can be super helpful as an elected official. Then you also get to network with a variety of elected officials across the state. So if folks are able to attend, I think, taking the time is well worth it. So there's an expense to attending the conference. We were looking at this. I continue to be confused whether it's either $100 or $250 per person. Because if you're a member, so, we can double check all of that. But then there's also an additional expense of hotel rooms, which would be $259 per night. So I would like to ask the board that I attend the entire conference and stay for 2 nights. I believe Lauren was looking to do 2 nights. Sean was looking to do 1 night. Was anyone else interested in attending?
If appropriate, I would.
I think that would be very useful.
I'd like to attend. I can't do the whole thing though.
So do you want to seek approval for 1 night, 2 nights, 0 nights?
0 nights, but
Okay.
possibly the.
But some attendance. Kitty, I think it's still worthwhile, even though
Oh,
you
I
have
know,
years of
I appreciate
experience.
it. I did go, 20 years ago. Do you know if any of them are available by, as recorded
know.
afterwards?
Oh, probably, but
So, if anybody would, I would love to watch some of them, later remotely.
I cannot do those dates, but if there's another one later on,
well, there is their annual conference in New York later in it's in February.
February, it begins on Sunday, February 15th, and it goes through essentially Tuesday of that week. It's the President's Weekend. And that one there's plenty of classes there for newly elected officials every year. I've actually spoken at that one. So that's good too. But if you're gonna do for the one, when is this, next week?
Next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, I would just break it up into 2 components if you're doing the motion. So just so it's clear for the tuition portion for some of the folks here, and then the rooms in a separate one, so you keep it all straight, who's
Okay.
going one night.
So I move that we approve 5 registrations, right? Because but William, you're not gonna attend.
I can't do the next week.
Okay, so then just 4 registrations, and then hotels, 2 for me, 0 for Kate, 1 for Sean, 2 for Lauren. Okay? And then we'll revisit, take a look at the agenda for the annual meeting in New York. And if anybody wants to attend, we should put that on our next board meeting agenda, which is the 28th of January. Okay. I move to approve those expenses.
Motions.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
You seconded it, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay, that's it from this agenda.
Was that a 5-eye on that one?
Yeah.
Am I missing anything? You guys see? I think we covered everything. Okay, so this brings us to the reorg portion of the evening's agenda. So I'm just gonna try to do several of these fairly quickly. So I move item number 1, the delegation of administrative duties to the supervisor. Someone want to second it?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move legal representation of the town, using the the attorneys listed. Someone want to second it?
Second.
All in favor?
I'm
Aye.
not in favor.
Not in favor?
I'm not in favor. Just in looking, it appears to me that the 3 alternate attorneys do have conflicts with the town, particularly in the matters that are currently in litigation. So I would like to, did you just raise your hand? So I would like to add Rodenhausen, Chail, and Polidoro as the 4th available attorney in cases where there is a conflict and we need to reach out to another attorney. If you look for special counsel for matters in which a conflict of interest arises,
Yeah, as long as the supervisor is authorized to assign who determines, which attorneys are used when there's conflicts.
So I'm offering a friendly amendment that we add Chail, Rodenhausen, and Polidoro to that, to make the 4th alternate legal representation.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I still think, as long as it's clear that the supervisor is authorized to, decide on a case-by-case basis which of those 4 law firms or attorneys we would use.
No, we do have a matter currently in which my esteemed colleague to the left and you are both plaintiffs. So,
The mayor is no longer plaintiff in that lawsuit.
okay, but he was when it was brought. So just so that there's no, cloud.
Oh, there's cloud, Kitty.
Pardon?
There is cloud.
There is cloud.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah,
deep stormy cloud.
yeah,
So.
really questionable cloud.
So I would like to, I would like the town to have some, input into who defends the town.
Sure, and we can discuss, why yourself and the outgoing supervisor spent $9,100 during their last 2 weeks of December without disclosing it to anyone on this town board.
Because it was in response to your appeal and we had to respond to it. I mean.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
very troubling stuff.
It would be best to discuss that in executive session.
Okay, so we are clear that we are going to add Rodenhausen, Chail, and Polidoro as the. 4th.
Yeah, I do not see myself ever using them to have to endure bills like we just saw from the last 2 weeks.
Well, did you okay, I would like to add them nevertheless, and if there's someone, I mean, all 3 of these are conflicted in some way or other. So would you like to add Vandewater and Vandewater? I mean, if there's someone else that you think,
No, thank you.
okay,
I care about my fiduciary responsibilities.
oh, as do I, Tim. As do I.
I struggle with that. Okay, all in favor?
Well,
What are we?
yeah,
We're moving the, list of attorneys.
We're adding another person to the list.
We are or we are not?
We are.
Yeah, we can.
We can add 20
them
people, it
as a-
doesn't
as
matter.
the-
We can just add them in
Yep.
if they don't, but yeah. Okay,
So the Rodenhausen firm is added as additional
right, if there,
special counsel.
right,
sounds
when a
good.
conflict
Okay.
of interest arises. Okay. So,
I move the list of engineering and architecture
did you
consultants.
vote on that?
All in favor of the previous vote on attorneys?
Aye.
Aye,
Move the list of engineering and architectural consultants. Someone want to second it?
second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Official newspaper. It's my motion.
second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Investment of town funds. And I'm gonna do, items 6, 7 together. Someone want a motion, 6 and 7?
motioned.
Don't be silly, Terrence. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
And the next item is about the meeting. So what we're trying to do is to work collaboratively with the village. So we're making a point to have the first Thursdays be just the first Thursdays of each month just be town board business only meetings at this location. And then the third Wednesdays, unless otherwise noted, would be joint meetings at Village Hall. So in a meeting like that, you can have village business, town business, as well as joint board business on the agenda. And the idea behind doing this every month at the same location, having, tried to host joint meetings for years, what I found was that when you do anything creative, like this group hosts this time, this group happens that time, we change the location, it just creates an enormous amount of confusion. And then I feel very strongly that there's significant value into just being like crystal clear about where the meetings are, who is hosting. And that's why, I'm proposing that we simply just have joint meetings every single third Wednesday at the Village Hall location. So that was just some color as far as this entire portion of the agenda for number 8. Does someone want to second my motion?
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, discussion?
I applaud the idea of having a regular joint meeting, and I would request that we hold it here because having attended a meeting at Village Hall Monday night, it is not handicapped accessible. I know that there is a ramp, but there is no handicap parking spot near the ramp. And so getting to the ramp for someone like me who needs a cane is really challenging. Here.
But
I
you can park right next to the ramp.
And.
In front of the fire station
Nicole was
base.
very helpful. The lights were not on. I did do that. Luckily, Yvonne had brought her lantern so that we could find our way to the ramp, but it was icy and dark. And it is, unless you have a handicapped spot marked and a clear path to the ramp, it's scary for someone like me.
Well, we can make sure that that it's well lit, and we'll ask the village to make sure that.
And can you put up a
the areas-
handicap parking sign
Sure,
right
we
at the
can ask the
bottom?
village to do that.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor of number 8?
Aye,
I'm gonna abstain because I want to see how that works. It was really scary.
Okay, let's move items 9, 10, 11, and 11. Let's someone want to second my motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then, item number 12, I'm just pulling this out because, there's a certificate of designation, for the supervisor or their designee to act as an official representative to attend the annual business meeting at AOT. I'm just,
Yeah, that annual business meeting is the Wednesday of that New York City conference. They do all the classes on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday is the business meeting for the delegates to vote on association business.
so someone want to second my motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then appointments, so I'd like to move that, I appoint, because this is the supervisor's appointment, William Sharnock as the deputy town supervisor. So the function is, William would not be voting on anything as long as I'm here. He's the emergency backup, in the event of a variety of different emergencies, or if I'm just not available to attend and chair this meeting. And included in the appointments is Karen Morehouse as confidential secretary. And then within the appointments, these are Clerk Rosanna's appointments, each of her deputy clerks. And I'm just including the town board designates, appoints the following members of boards or commissions. Town board designates, appoints the following, there's another list there. And the board liaison and committee assignments, that's in Schedule F. So my motion includes moving all of 13. Does someone want to second it? Does someone want to discuss the liaisons?
Wait, what are we moving?
We're moving all of 13, which includes,
Other than your appointment and the clerk's appointments. Those don't have to be by motion.
okay. So those are my appointments, and then the rest of 13, that is not my appointment. I'm moving.
Second.
So Kitty seconded it.
I just want to
For
point out
discussion.
for our new members that, the reason Chris was talking about getting a new audio system here is that he's also wears the building and grounds hat. So, that's, he literally covers a lot of ground and, and sewer and water.
So I'm sure you all saw the list of liaison and committee assignments. Any questions, feedback?
What page is that on?
It's
It's
F, so that's
32. You see, I put like 2 people on a couple of them, for instance, on the rec committee of Kitty Brown and Kate Ryan. This way you can kind of compare notes and work together. That was definitely a liaison interest by several of the individuals. So, and it's also just a commonly talked about topic that many in our community are very interested in. So that's what I was trying to do by putting 2 people on a couple of these things. Kind of like a divide and conquer approach.
Well, unite and conquer. We
Sure.
have 2 people. So, I've lost where the BAR compensation is on here. But the BAR volunteer compensation, it kind of sneaks into the reorg meeting every year. And
What is that?
Board of Assessment Review, they are the only
Okay.
volunteers who get paid.
Okay, I see.
So, it was pointed out when we were doing vouchers last year that it's not fair to be paying some and not others, so I would move that we eliminate that compensation. But I can't find it on the agenda, so I don't know where it is.
What is it budgeted?
I'd have to open up my budget and look at
I
it.
think for not commenting on the legitimacy of your motion, I think you need to see what's in the budget, which you could do at the next meeting. But I think that's a question that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, it's another topic that you know, when I used to be on the village board, we actually changed the policies so that committee members were actually receiving a small stipend. So I think it's a good practice for, you know,
Right,
more
but
boards.
that
So,
happens to be the one committee that I think meets twice, whereas our
Yeah.
planning board members meet twice a month, they meet a
Right.
lot.
all I'm proposing is that this entire topic get revisited.
So can we table the Board of Assessment Review compensation until, I mean, you can always adjust the budget down, can't you? I mean, we
You can,
can't
but-
add,
But we have to see what's in the budget right now before you address the issue, so everybody has all the information.
okay? So where does that leave us for now? Do we table it and look it up in the budget?
That's up to the board.
I think let's just leave it as is, since no one has actually taken a look at, you know, what we'd be modifying.
Well, I have.
Well, then tell us.
These are the only volunteers who are compensated, and I
How
don't know
much?
that $800,
To meet twice a year.
right?
Okay.
I mean, two days and 2 nights, 2 meetings.
I mean, do we want to remove this stipend for these
$400 a
volunteers?
meeting, that seems like a lot.
Yeah, I don't know the origins behind, I didn't even know
I know.
that BAR was compensated.
Yeah, I mean, we discovered it when we were signing vouchers last year. So that's how you find out where the money's
Has
going.
anyone spoken to BAR members?
Hmm?
The BAR attendees or members who get that, has anyone spoken to them about how that would change their willingness to participate?
Who have we appointed as being?
Me.
You have to go back to our.
I didn't know about the money, but
Oh, did you get, are you the BAR?
I think so, right?
Liaison.
So you're the,
You're the liaison.
No. there's
No,
a difference
you won't
between
get paid.
liaison
I
and
know,
the
I
actual
know,
member, right?
You won't get paid.
I'm fine pulling it out. You want to pull it out and then we could do like a wholesale review?
Great.
Yes,
That seems fine.
that seems the best way to do it.
Have you called the question on number 13 yet?
No. So all in favor of 13?
I just want to make sure I was.
Yep.
Not missing something.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then let's do 14 and 15 together. So what we're trying to do differently here is we came up with a voucher audit policy, and then that, you know, dovetails with the dates that the finance department needs their vouchers submitted from the department heads. So the idea is that we then have, you know, this warrant with its cover page and then all of its details. So at any time, the board can review the details about where checks are being cut and what we're spending money on. But in terms of the official authorization to cut those checks, it would be designated by the finance department and the comptroller, you know, per this policy. So then town board members are no longer required to come in and physically sign 200 vouchers once a month.
So are you making the motion? Someone should second?
Sure. I'm making the motion.
Second.
Someone want a second? All in
Second.
favor or further discussion?
Well, I need to have a lot of discussion about this. What is the benefit to the public not having town board members review those vouchers? I just pointed out that we discovered this BAR thing. That is a very small amount.
So review the warrant.
The warrant comes after the vouchers have been signed. The vouchers are
No, it
how
doesn't.
we,
I mean, that might be how you're receiving it now, but the warrant would be issued for us to review.
after the vouchers have been signed.
No,
signing the vouchers is how we get to know our employees.
I know, I've signed
May I
vouchers for 10
finish?
years. But you can review the warrant with the details before you vote on it. It's put on the agenda.
But you
The board
need
has to vote on the warrant.
You need to see the voucher. You need to see exactly what the item is. It's how we get to know our employees, our contractors, our consultants, our vendors. It's how they get to know us. I frequently will look at an item. For example, there was an item from the police department for a hardtop gazebo. I thought, why do we need a hardtop gazebo? I pulled out the voucher, I wrote to Matt and said, what is this? Why do we need it? And he wrote back and explained it. We need to know that kind of thing.
So then you can continue to do that.
Each one of us should be doing it alternately. It's our main responsibility is to be in direct contact with it's $1 million a month at least. I don't know if anybody at this table
Well,
has.
isn't this the comptroller's part of?
The comptroller, it can be
Their
either
job
or.
description?
The comptroller can do it, or the town board can do it. This is the first time in the 20 years that I have been on and off a town board member. And I know when you all interviewed for town board, I said, be prepared for 2 to 4 hours every other month to sign these vouchers. You're all here. You ran for the position anyway. I think it is the most important direct way that we are accountable to
Will all
our
the same-
constituents.
Will all the same information that is provided in the vouchers be provided in the warrants that are available for review?
Did you look at the warrant that I sent you the other
Yeah, it
day?
includes detail, but it doesn't include like the actual invoice. But if you want to see the invoice, and that's what it says in the policy, you can at any time.
If you could look at number 2 in the policy.
I read this over and over again. It is an abdication, I think, of our most fundamental responsibility. And I don't know why we want to do it. What is the advantage to the public?
Because I
or
think,
to us
it makes a lot of
us
sense
not
to,
looking at each one of those vouchers. How does that benefit the public?
because I think there's a lot to be said for, allocating our time as wisely as possible. I think like people just flying through and like quickly signing 200 pages of vouchers is not the
That
best
has
use of our
never
time.
happened in my experience. We bring our laptop, Maria prints out the fund balances of every line. We check them. We have a sheet where we reach out and say, what is this?
So you checked every single check. So why did you have a controller? You paid $100,000 a year for controller and you just did the job of the controller? So you're doing the job the controller's doing. Why are you paying them? You could have saved $100,000 a year.
If you want to take sole responsibility for our warrants.
The controller does a lot more than just.
Yeah, but
review the vouchers.
But if
The
you're,
controller does finances, civil service, a whole lot of stuff. But she is in that room if we have a question. Well, that will lighten the
I can
mood.
open it.
I think this is a serious dereliction of our duty and that we should revert to every single person at this table signed up expecting to have to do this. So, I said,
I
let's
didn't.
do it.
I didn't either, relayed to me as something that, Amanda does and not all boards do. And I don't believe all boards do that practice. And I personally believe what Tim is putting forward makes a lot of sense. And there's a professional that we've hired to do that job. And if she doesn't do that job correctly, we have to do something about that.
Yeah, I actually like the format of where you can actually see the dollar amounts and who you're paying, and then they're actually categorized. So like, let's say like Beck's Hardware Store received, there were like 4 vouchers. You can see them all in the same list, so you get a better sense of where the money is going to individuals.
That's great. That's an improvement. But when you look at the voucher and you look at, first of all, it's 2 to 4 hours, 6 times a year. It's not every month for every board member. And with William on board, we might even be able to reduce it to less. But when you
I
look
don't know
at the
that William
voucher,
would be allowed to do it.
well, if he's allowed to sign checks,
Only in the mayor's, the supervisor's
Right.
absence.
right?
Yeah, he
So,
wouldn't be,
if
he
you're
wouldn't,
on
he wouldn't be
vacation.
allowed to sign vouchers.
I mean, when you look at the receipt, you check to see, did you pay tax inadvertently? And it happens. It sneaks through. The employee, the vendor, the volunteer doesn't realize that we're tax exempt. Sometimes it's a small amount,
I
sometimes.
wholeheartedly agree that you can learn a lot about local government, but from reading vouchers, having signed vouchers for over 10 years, I definitely learned a lot about like, well, how much does this cost and how much does that cost? I agree. It's interesting. It kind of like gives you a sense of like, certain things in government are a lot more expensive than you'd imagine. And then other things are like less I just remember like street signs, I thought they'd be like hundreds of dollars and they're like $75. Like I was just very surprised by like a lot of those price differentials. And even when I've spoken to the participation in government classes, I will use examples that I learn about like, how much do you think this costs? How much do you think that costs? I completely agree that understanding where and why we're spending money is a giant part of this job. And I think by having a report where you can actually see it makes more sense and is a more efficient use of our time. And if you want to drill down and look at like individual invoices, like that continues to be available. But I think this is like a great example of working smarter, not harder.
I don't understand how, as town board members, we would be putting those 2 to 3 hours a month to better use for our constituents. But I think at this point, I'm going to be on the losing side of this vote, so we may as well call the vote.
All in favor?
No.
So town policies and fees, number 16. So I'd like to move item number 16. Someone want to second it? All in favor?
Aye.
And then the rest of this is just all the supporting documentation in the appendixes. Anything else?
2 things. When will the police commission meet?
We're scheduled to meet as part of the first meeting in February. We're gonna have we've scheduled it, just to create that placeholder to make sure we're doing that. We've also been brainstorming with some folks about pulling out the police commission meeting and not having it on the same night as the town board. And I was gonna propose that we work towards a civilian police commission and repopulating a civilian police commission. But I think it would make a great deal of sense for our board to function as the police commission for, at least 6 months, to take a deeper dive and to understand what's involved. But, immediately the first meeting will be 6 p.m. the same night as a town board meeting. But that's what I was thinking generally about, we need to wrap our heads around more police commission stuff, and that will include like, how should we formulate an effective civilian police commission? So I think that would all be part of the next several months of police commission conversations.
Okay, thanks. One more thing under Moriello pool field fees. Councilwoman Essie Lewis brought a resolution to the board last year that New Paltz families who receive SNAP benefits should get free admission to Moriello. So we approved the policy, but we did not figure out how to implement it. So as you know, we get closer to March and April, when registration comes up for that, we need to help.
We also need to see whether that's legal, because
Okay.
from what I understand, that you can't provide things like free admission to
Okay.
government-owned things, you know, it'd be a potential violation of the state constitution.
All right, well, let's figure out the
Okay.
best we can do.
If someone could give me a copy of that resolution, the resolution was adopted or was it not?
It was kind of informal. I'll ask Essie if she can recall when she did it.
Yeah, I can speak to her as well.
Good,
But,
thanks. Okay.
but. we'll
Yeah,
have
that
to
doesn't
see.
sound legal.
It's,
Pardon?
That doesn't sound
it
legal.
could be problematic.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll
let's
definitely-
find out.
Yeah, I don't,
I think it's very well intentioned and it's
it's a great idea.
great
but-
idea, but
Well, let's,
if there's a way to do it, so it's legally defensible. that would
It's
be
one of
important.
those things where I may have to check with the state comptroller's office, which I'm happy to do.
Great.
I just need the documentation.
okay. So,
You like
so you're
getting
gonna
free
call
water
Essie
to,
and find
I'll
out.
shoot her an email.
Great.
If you have anything on it, please send it to me. I'll give
I
it-
don't remember which meeting it was, honestly.
Anything else from our board? Does anyone want to make a closing public comment? Come on up.
So, to the point of Yvonne, us being here today, right, was to suggest that you discuss amending the procurement policy.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that.
Oh, okay,
Right,
good.
okay.
So the question is, do you want to amend, update the procurement policy with the paragraphs that I provided you tonight? Do you have any questions about that paragraph? that
The
you'd like
purpose
to
just
ask?
documentation, just
It
to,
is purely,
create more
well,
transparency.
it is documentation, but it becomes a requirement for the decision-making. That if you don't have the documentation, the decision to procure a fossil fuel vehicle or appliance can't be made. Now, obviously, tonight, right, we haven't made the change yet, so we couldn't apply it to the decision on the snowplow. So,
Can I ask a question? Since
Come on up though, because I think it's better if,
I'm just curious what kind of documentation you're looking for.
well, for instance, if you're going to buy a stove, and you have a choice between a propane stove or an electric stove, you might ask the question, what are the BTUs of the stovetop units? What is the BTUs of the oven? What is the circuit that's required for the electric as opposed to a propane? Propane might still need a 120 volt, 15 amp circuit, whereas an electric stove probably needs a 50 amp.
220.
So those requirements, those functional requirements would be part of what you would list to say, can a electric stove do the job? And what would the electric stove cost versus a propane stove?
Yes.
So you then have all that information in front of you, and that would be brought to the board to say, we've analyzed it, we're ready to make a decision.
Apples, opposed to, I'm
Well, it's
more
never-
curious with
It's always,
equipment, how would I spec a,
Right, but
if it's available, let's say I was gonna replace a backhoe.
code.
A diesel backhoe versus a gas backhoe versus an electric backhoe.
well, you might look at torque, you might look at hours of operation during the course of the day.
Mhm.
What is the range? What is the total, wattage of total storage capacity, right? Those are the kinds of things that you would look at. Now, obviously that, this sometimes can get a little difficult, right, if it's not a familiar topic to everybody.
Right, Joe.
So it may require you to do a little bit of due
Well, that's why
diligence.
I'm trying, just to understand it.
Yeah.
I get it,
Yeah.
charging stations, infrastructure, the possibility of having infrastructure for doing it.
I
Okay,
do,
no, thank you. I was just,
I do have a question. Sorry, I'll try and speak up. I've got first thing was, I'm guessing the goal here is, greenhouse gas is the objective.
The goal is to make the best possible decision we can make, and including greenhouse gas emissions as part of that decision.
But what are the other aspects of that decision? Because they're not
Well,
included.
there's always a piece of it, right?
But there are many
Cost will
other-
always be a part of it.
There are many other environmental factors that can and should, like where it was manufactured, distance it was distributed. Also, it speaks specifically of fossil fuel items.
Yeah.
But the list doesn't of items that it says, like HVAC, cooking, hot water, outdoor equipment, seems very vague in terms of, are those fossil fuel outdoor equipments, or are they all outdoor equipment that would need to go through this?
Anything that burns a fossil fuel.
But it doesn't actually say that in this.
The default would be to choose the environmental greenness.
And let me explain, I'm very, very pro environmental and this whole policy and how we do it. I do want it to be specific about exactly what aspects this particular motion is trying to fix. And if it's fossil fuel, it really should be articulated a little clearer. And I think we should be very specific which categories of product this relates to as opposed to others.
Look at a few vehicles. Is that?
Yeah.
A vehicle could be absolutely anything, right? It could be a backhoe.
But it could be a bicycle is a vehicle.
Correct.
So,
Although there aren't very many fossil fuel bicycles.
so that's where I think it's confusing, because it's actually not setting up that this is a procurement for all fossil fueled items.
I think that if you read our current procurement policy, did you get a chance to read it?
I haven't done that, just think this is.
Okay, but this would just be a supplement to a very long list of what a department head must do in order to make a purchase. And it talks about purchasing apparatus, materials, equipment, or supplies, services related to the installation, maintenance, or repair of apparatus, materials, equipment, supplies, and goes on and on. So I think that what you're looking for is probably in here. Without specifically mentioning every single possible appliance.
If this suggested amendments, right, this is what this is about.
Yeah,
right? What is the
that's all I'm
what
suggesting is
suggested
that-
amendments do you want to make?
Is it standard for stuff that's not on the agenda for us to like just look at something that's handed to us and then vote on it? Like that's,
Well, it was circulated, so that's, we didn't,
If you're not ready to make a decision tonight, then I would say hold off on approving the procurement policy, then take that to the next meeting to give you additional time to say what
we can wordsmith it a bit.
wordsmith
yeah,
if you'd like.
that's.
I
That
love the
sounds good.
spirit of it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, so why don't we do that? We'll take a crack at wordsmithing this proposal and then put it on the agenda for Jan 28th, the joint meeting.
But just to be clear, the procurement policy as written is adopted, subject to this amendment. Right?
The procurement.
The town's procurement policy is not being, there is one right now. It
But we
needs
can
to be
amend it.
updated. You
Aren't
can
we
am-
allowed to amend it at least once a year?
Anytime.
Yeah.
At any time. I'm just saying that the current procurement policy has not been suspended. It's still in effect.
Yes.
And this will be, once it's wordsmithed and tweaked a little bit and everybody puts their hands in the soup, as it were, then it can be amended. The procurement policy can be updated with whatever language the board is comfortable with.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And unofficially, if we're buying into these things before the 28th, we can
Yeah, I mean, they're not regular,
take a close.
they're
look.
not
Yeah.
common purchases, right? Purchase of a hot water heater or a stove or a vehicle, they're not right now
Sure.
purchased double the time, so.
No, I think it's a very valuable suggestion and,
I
we'll
think we
tighten it
all,
up.
I think we all like the idea. I think we just need to get it wordsmith. I like that word.
That
And
is
so that's,
exactly what I was hoping.
yeah, I think everyone's in agreement with your idea. We just
Yeah.
gotta
Thank you both.
clean it up.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from our board before we adjourn? No? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.